Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz with the latest roundup of sports today. There's so much to discuss, but obviously we talk about the Pakistan and England test match as well, where England seems to be dominating. The trail now left is just 74 runs. Joe Root has been in exceptional form. So has Harry Brook been as well. Both of them have muscled up a great partnership, which has probably put now England in a commanding position. The day is almost coming to an end, of course. And then, of course, we've got 2 more days of this test match to go as well. So there's going to be a lot to talk about when you talk about this test match, but clearly I think England have dominated. The run rate's been fantastic, more than 5 runs per over, while Pakistan, when they ended their inning, they were just 3.79. So I think that makes a visible difference when you talk about this test match as well, and how you approach this kind of pitch, which is absolutely a belter for batting as well. So we of course talk about this test match, but we also talk about something very special, which is of course the part that sports play as a tool for diplomacy as well. And there's a gentleman we're going to be introducing you who's going to be talking about his fantastic career as an avid cricketer, as a fan, and of course his work here in Pakistan as well, and also the visit of the English team right now to Pakistan, which is of utmost importance, and this test match is as well. And of course, I was just telling him before the show that he must be enjoying, since we're being hammered through the Multan Cricket Stadium, but he's enjoying this test match as much as we are as well. Let's take a look at this report first of all, and then we continue.
Our special guest today is Alex, who is a political officer at the British High Commission in Islamabad. He has been posted to Pakistan since 2022. Previously, he worked in the British Foreign Office's headquarters in London on roles covering Afghanistan, Pakistan and Iran. Alex is a huge cricket fan, having played since he was at school. One of his favorite moments of his time in Pakistan so far was watching Pakistan against England during the Test series in 2022. We are in an exclusive conversation today with Alex to talk about England's cricket team's current tour to Pakistan and how sports is a great tool for diplomacy.
Well, there you have it. All you need to know about this gentleman in this report by Malaika. She gives us the details, and we're very honored to be joined by the Political Secretary of the British High Commission in Pakistan, Alexander, more commonly known as Alex. Alex, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you, Alex?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming over. I think it's a great moment that we not only discuss the cricket that is being played, but your fantastic career as a cricket fan and a cricketer as well. So, like most of us, when we, grow up, we pick up a bat and a ball and we start, finding our love for the sport. But where did it all start for Alex as a young lad?
Well, like you say, I mean, it's the same in England and in Pakistan. You pick up a bat from such a young age, and so my cricket started almost as long as I can remember, playing at school mainly. I was a particularly bad bowler, but I was all right with a bat, and then occasionally given the chance to captain the school team. And so that was really where it all started out. And then it just blossomed from there. It was trips to cricket matches with friends. I grew up in a part of England very close to 2 big teams, Somerset and Hampshire, so was able to go and see both of those teams play both Test and T20 with my friends. And then also, more widely than that, talking about cricket at school, watching it on the television, playing EA Sports, Cricket Heroes. I mean, it was all encompassing for me, and it was a huge part of growing up. And I think also similar to in Pakistan, cricket in England is a multi-generational pastime. So it was going to the matches with family, but also playing village cricket with parents and grandparents as well, from a very young age, meant that it was a part of life both at school and at the weekends.
Mm-hmm. So how have you been able to transform that love of game to the work you're doing now as well? Because we often say sports is a great tool for diplomacy, but if you talk about cricket, I think England and Pakistan have had an illustrious history that we talk about as well, and there's so much cultural exchange, a lot of the Pakistani community in England as well. And once there's cricket being played in England or either in Pakistan, we can talk about the Bami army coming over here, or Pakistanis going there to support their team. It's just been a great blend of culture.
It is, and how we translate it into our work is it's a really positive thing that we can focus on, that shows the connections between the 2 countries. Whether it's some of the best English players, thinking of Shoaib Bashir or Rehan Ahmed playing for England, being from Pakistani background.
Moeen Ali, Adil Rashid.
Exactly, of course. Or whether it's, the fans travelling. And I think in 2022 we saw that when England cricket came back to Pakistan for the first time in a while. And the reviews from the Bami army, like you say, and from the fans were just spectacular. The hospitality in Pakistan was something they all remarked on. They loved being back here. They loved the atmosphere. They loved the passion that Pakistani fans showed for it. But like you say, that translates back home as well. I was really fortunate this summer to be on a leave break in the UK, and I was able to watch Pakistan and England play a one-day warm-up match before the World Cup. And you know, the atmosphere in the Oval there was one of the best I'd ever seen, because the Pakistani fans, both in the UK and the fans that travel over, you know, the noise, the music, the chanting, the drums, it's like no other country when it comes to creating an atmosphere.
I guess it was a rare occasion for you to be on a leave break. So I'm probably considering that with the smile that came on the face of Alex when he talked about that leave break. Must have been a rare occasion for him to get time off from work as well. But then, like you mentioned as well, we've known that it's been about 2 years since you're here in Pakistan. You must have seen a lot of street cricket being played here as well. We saw some spectacular photos of you buying some local cricket merchandise probably. But how have these 2 years given you, you know, an idea of what cricket means to this country particularly?
I think it's just seeing how pervasive it is, and how everyone wants to talk to you about cricket, and how everyone understands cricket and the sport. And I think the main example that comes to my mind is that, you know, I'm from a part of England that's not particularly famous. It's quite a rural part of England in Somerset. And there aren't many countries around the world where I could say I'm from Somerset and people would know where that is. But, you know, in Pakistan, people are such huge cricket fans. They know about the English county cricket system. They know who Somerset is. They know that, you know, Jack Leach plays for Somerset, etc. And so it's such a bond to be able to talk about, you know, this sport that it covers all of England, but also all of Pakistan as well. And I think, you know, my posting, I came out here as the England team came out in 2022, and I was able to see England playing Pakistan down in Karachi. And just seeing Test cricket played in South Asia for the first time was so eye-opening and such a wonderful life experience. Because again, you see the passion that comes with it, you see the differences in how the pitches are prepared, etc. And so I think seeing Pakistan, but through the lens of cricket, has really helped me kind of get into the country. When you travel around, if you go to Lahore or the northern areas or even around the Twin Cities, it's not hard to be invited into a tape ball match and have some pretty fast bowling put at you and have your wits tested by some kids.
Well, Nasir tried that the last time he was here commentating, and that became pretty rough for him as well.
I can sympathise with him. I was out in Barraco and there was a tape ball match happening, and we were kind of watching on the edge, not wanting to get too involved, but inevitably the opportunity and the invitation came, and I was kind of handed a tape ball bat, which, you know, I normally enjoy a tape ball bat, slightly wider, slightly easier to make sure
lighter
you connect
in weight as well.
Lighter, exactly. And then the pace of the tape ball comes at you, and you know, you wish you weren't holding the bat at that point. So I can sympathise with Nasser on that one.
Absolutely. You know, it becomes a bit of a cliche, but I'm tempted to ask you, who's been that one favourite player for you growing up? You know, like you mentioned that you were a bit of a batter yourself, you still are. So who's that, you know, one player that you've seen growing up, and now when we move on to the modern times, has there been any change in a new player as well?
Well, I suppose my original hero was Andrew Strauss. When I was growing up, he was the central batsman.
Are you a left-handed batter?
I'm not. No, I'm right-handed.
I am. So. Yeah.
And you know, he was maybe slightly boring as a child, but I really admired his very solid defensive skills, his ability to play the long game in Test cricket. And then moving on from him, I suppose every English boy growing up watching cricket, seeing Alistair Cook play, you know, one of the most stylish batsmen of his time, and until today a record holder, which inevitably means when you turn to the current team now, I mean, I have a soft spot for Joe Root. I think he did a fantastic job as England captain, but then also stepping down from the captaincy and still turning up and playing for the team and playing so well, and clearly being a linchpin and a senior player that other players look up to. It's a really, you know, he's someone you could admire both on and off the pitch. And I think that links to why, you know, Andrew Strauss remains somebody I find very inspirational. You know, he's done a lot of charity work since retiring. You know, there's always the day at Lord's when everyone wears red for his charity foundation, and it just shows the impact you can have after your time as a professional sportsman. And I think that's particularly admirable in him.
Absolutely. Well, we you know, do say this, that in a world divided by borders, sports is that one tool that has connected. So from, you know, the diplomacy point of view as well, there are many sports around the world that have connected fans, but cricket, particularly in our region, dominates. So how would you describe, you know, sports as a great tool for diplomacy, for connection building, people-to-people exchange as well?
Well, I think it's because sport provides a moment to bring people together where they aren't focused on politics and they aren't focused on difference. They're focused on kind of common endeavour. They're focused on something that's fundamentally entertaining and enjoyable, and encourages people to travel and to meet up in places that they maybe wouldn't. And you only have to look at the Olympics this summer to see and be reminded of at a time when around the world there is increased conflict and there is more difficulty. To be reminded that sport, such as the Olympics, or more bilateral events like the England tour, offers a chance for people to travel, to meet. And I suppose a kind of personal example, my parents and my younger brother are planning to come out to Pakistan to watch the Rawalpindi test. And the test match was the reason for them coming out. I mean, I hope they're pleased to come and see me, maybe. But
that becomes secondary.
That's secondary, exactly. But the sport is what ultimately has given them the hook to come and visit Pakistan, and they'll make amazing memories and go away having had a completely new life experience. And so I think it's remembering that sport allows people to kind of step outside their comfort zone, go somewhere different, and have a shared bond with someone that is maybe from a completely different cultural background to yourself.
Well, I think we've done one part of the job right, is that make you a superstar before your family arrives here. So they understand the brand that Alex is, and and finally we've portrayed him on telly as a superstar as well. So once they come up, they've got somebody to talk about as well over here. But I think you rightly put it out as well. But obviously you've got to talk about the Test match as well right now, where you are clearly dominating, and we've been giving the
I wouldn't agree.
updates as well. But Alex is a very modest person. I kept on telling him that you're leading. He said it's still 80 runs to go. There's a perfectionist there. So I understand why he likes Andrew Strauss as a player and as a skipper as well. But clearly this Test match has been brilliant, although a lot of us are disappointed not to see Ben Stokes playing. But then again, I think it's been fantastic so far.
Yes, no, it has been brilliant, and I think it's been wonderful to watch Harry Brook back in Pakistan. He played in the PSL and clearly performed very well. Thinking back to 2022 when he was scoring some amazing runs, particularly in the Rawalpindi Test, to see him resurrect that down in Multan's been fantastic. As ever, a Joe Root 100 is wonderful. Watching him break the record was also brilliant. And hopefully we will see more great matches to come, culminating in a really fantastic kind of crescendo and celebration when they arrive in the Twin Cities for the final test. And I personally hope to see some more England hundreds on the board.
Does it give the English players more to play for, realizing that we've got an Aussie coach in our ranks as well?
Well, I think Jason Gillespie has his own background with the England team. That fierce rivalry you asked about, what kind of cricket I watched growing up, and I suppose conversely to the Andrew Strauss, Kevin Peterson era was the Glenn McGrath, the Brett Lees of the Australian team, who were kind of the Ashes in particular, exactly that famous 2005 victory for England. That was the kind of solidifying moment for me as a young cricket fan. So yes, no, inevitably I'm sure there's slightly more tension for Jason Gillespie playing England, because an Australian always wants to beat an Englishman.
Yeah, so no matter where they are, I think that rivalry stays alive as well.
Definitely.
People do talk about Pakistan and India as a cricket rivalry, but trust me, the Ashes is a whole new ball game. But surprisingly, I must say that a lot of love for Test cricket the Pakistanis have had has been through the Ashes over the years. And I think a lot of people still talk about Steve Harmison or the brilliance of Andrew Flintoff in an era as well. And I understand, as a cricketer, anyone who's playing cricket, it becomes a very difficult question that the dominance of T20 cricket, people eventually started thinking that Test cricket is going to be put to the sideline. But eventually, it hasn't happened like that.
No, exactly. And I think, there are these ongoing discussions about T20, being the real money driver of the international sport. And you can see that. It's far easier for people to watch a T20 match than it is to watch a Test match. But I think ultimately, Test match cricket retains that kind of romance that T20 might struggle to match. It goes on for 5 days. Someone described it to me once as, T20 is a TV show, but Test match is a novel. And once you're into a novel, there's nothing quite like it. And so I think there'll always be that core. Particularly people who are real fans of the sport will recognise that the difficulty of Test match cricket is that much harder, and also that the tension at the end of 5 days when there's a win on the line, or maybe you're even batting it out for a draw, is the kind of tension you just can't replicate in 2 to 3 hours. You need the multiple days to really build that tension and see a kind of real moment of sporting passion at the end of it. So I personally hope that Test match cricket has a long life ahead of it. But I agree, we've got to make sure that T20 can't keep too much of the airwaves.
But it's a leaf to take out of that book of English fans as well for us here at Pakistan or anyone around the world. Because we often refer to Test cricket when we talk about the fans as well. We'll refer to the packed Lord's Stadium. Everybody watching a test match there when England is playing any country around the world. It's a packed stadium, or the costume party happening at one end of the pavilion, or the MCC when their role comes into play. You see the members stand as well, and that's a beautiful sight to see. So now, because the next generation of English fans is coming up, and I understand a lot of dominance for the English Premier League or anything that's happening for football in general, but how are the next generation of fans now stepping in, or are ready to take over those reins of being the true loyal English fans for Test cricket?
I think it's two factors. It's still being able to see your favourite players playing Test match cricket and seeing that as the kind of the pinnacle of the sport. And I think in England we still see that. The likes of Ben Stokes still committing to Test cricket. Joe Root obviously having an incredibly long career, and those kind of players create an imagination amongst young fans. And particularly, and it's not just the men's side, on the women's side as well, seeing Tammy Beaumont play for young girls in England is a huge inspiration. And there's a huge growth in the women's sport in England, but particularly on the fan side, which I think comes from being able to see the longer form of the game. And then secondly to that, I think it's embracing and I mentioned it earlier, but the kind of the multi-generational aspect. I think the fact that you can go to a test match and you can go with, parents, grandparents, and it's a whole family day out, whether you're in costume or not, as you said, means that everyone will kind of come with you. And for sure, when you're younger, T20 cricket's the exciting one. But I think as you grow up and mature into adulthood, there's something about the test cricket magic that just keeps bringing you back.
Well, are you going to rate yourself as a test suited batter or a T21 then? That's very important.
I think given my risk aversion means I probably am a test suited batter if I had to select.
That's the most tough part, to construct an innings, but I'm sure Alex is much suited and much trained for that part as well. But like I said, it's very important to celebrate that history, and there's been a lot of resurgence of that English cricket as well. There came a rough patch when, in that after 2011, where English cricket was in a bit of a bother considering the form and the players in the transition that was happening. But it must feel great to not only talk about the Ashes, but have a 50-over World Cup, 2 T20 World Cups there every now and then. So that must be a great defining moment for English cricket.
Oh, it is, yeah. And it's, as any fan, it's nice when your team's doing well. But I think it's the moments where the team's going through a bit of hardship that make you appreciate the moments where it's all going very well. But we have to recognise the skill of Brendan McCullum and what he's done in terms of creating the kind of team atmosphere that's allowed Bazball to flourish. And to allow the players to really lean into it as a kind of an entertainment sport. And there's absolutely one thing that's for certain is that the England team of the last 2-3 years or so has been a really entertaining England team. And linking back to your earlier question, how do you keep young fans excited about the sport? It's making sure that the cricket that's being played is entertaining.
So individuals have been very important. You talk about Sir Alexander Cook. That era was fantastic. I myself, as a left-hander, used to enjoy him, and even Andrew Strauss when he was captaining England. And after that, Alexander Cook did a fantastic job as a skipper, as an individual batter himself. Post that, obviously, England's white ball campaign, being led by Owen Morgan, was fantastic. Joss Butler came in. Ben Stokes, with that one innings in the Ashes, became an icon for so many around the world. So it's very important to recognise these individuals and the role they've played for English cricket.
Definitely, and we've been blessed by players that are not only very skillful, but as I mentioned earlier, huge characters off the pitch. Ben Stokes in particular, he's an exciting player to watch. He really drives the younger fans, but also the older fans. I mean, when he performed that innings at Headingley in 2019, we were driving on a family holiday and we had to pull the car over on the road to stop and listen because it was getting so tense. But that individual and his kind of strength of concentration and character in particular to pull through an innings like that was unbelievable. I think inevitably in sport, it often does revolve around an individual leading the team, but remembering that underneath that is a whole kind of group of people that support that one player and support that person to play at their best. And that's why I think, team sports for me have always been something I've loved doing and watching, because you develop that camaraderie and that friendship behind the scenes as well.
And even his battle with, personal mental health issues as well. I think people have connected with it around the world, the way he's, probably navigated through all of this and still become the great Ben Stokes that he is.
Well, exactly, and I think that in itself is a message that's really important to put out. He's done, like you say, he's done a lot of work on mental health campaigning and talking about the importance of that. And I think it links to other athletes around the world that are starting to talk about that. We saw it with Simone Biles, the US gymnast, coming back this year and blowing the world away with her performance in the Olympics. But having had that, very public conversation about the importance of one's mental health and taking a step back when it matters. And I think that's a really important example to set.
Certainly it is. Well, we do talk about sports as a tool for diplomacy as well, and where it becomes very important that, sports is that one tool that has connected all of us, hasn't it? We've got a report on that. Let's take a look and then we come back.
Has increasingly become a powerful tool for diplomacy in today's era, fostering international relations and promoting peace among nations. Events like Olympics, cricket, and the FIFA World Cup serves a platform where countries can set aside their differences. This spirit of camaraderie transcends political tensions, allowing nations to collaborate and build mutual respect. Sports diplomacy has taken on new dimensions with the rise of global sports league and international collaboration. Professional athletes often act as ambassadors, using their influence to promote social causes and cultural exchange. When athletes from diverse backgrounds compete together, it sends a powerful message of inclusivity and cooperation. The digital age has amplified the impact of sports diplomacy, as social media allows athletes and organizations to reach global audiences instantly. Cricket diplomacy includes initiatives where matches facilitates discussions and broader issues. With international tournaments like the ICC World Cup and other, cricket promotes cultural exchange and mutual respect, showcasing its potential to strengthen international relations and connect people across borders.
Well, there you have it. Malaika gives us the details, and of course in this report where diplomacy and sports go hand in hand, sports becomes such an essential tool for diplomacy, connecting people throughout the world, these cultural exchanges, these people-to-people exchange, the communication that is established as well. And I think whenever a team is touring one particular part of the world, they're not only going there for that particular sport, but there's so much to share with their audiences as well, because people connect to them as well. And I think coming towards this subject, Alex had already highlighted this, that why it becomes important to use sports as a tool for diplomacy around the world as well. So obviously that was a bit of insight into this report as well. But just during this break, I was getting a bit of insight as well, Alex. So I must ask you publicly now, who's your favorite Pakistani cricketer?
I think Shaheen Shah Afridi at the moment, of the team playing at the moment. He's, as I said, his raw power is really something to watch, and despite being an awful bowler myself, I have a soft spot for the best pace bowlers in the world. There's nothing like seeing them going at full tilt.
Well, I wonder why you say an awful bowler. I doubt it. I think you still can throw about 6 of them inside the wicket, but I don't know if you mean you've thrown a bit of beamers or bouncers. I'm afraid I'm not aware of that until now.
My bowling's fairly erratic. That's an issue I face. So yeah, the odd beamer, but by accident.
Well, sometimes you enjoy that as well as a bowler. So I won't say he's as awful as he says he is. But that being said, right now we talk about the Test match and the update there as well, where we've got 492 for 3. But we're going to be talking about that right after a short break. So stay tuned. Welcome back to Sports Extra. We're in exclusive conversation with Mr. Alex, the political secretary for the British High Commission in Islamabad, and we're talking about the cricket in detail as well. And stumps have been called, and England, of course, trailed by another 64 runs. They're 492 for 3. Joe Root on 176, Harry Brook on 141 not out. So just bring that cricket expert out of you now and just say that you're in a good position right now. Just 64 runs now.
Just 64 runs behind, absolutely. I think going into day 3 they'll want to bat on a bit longer, start adding more runs to that total, and then potentially see if we'll need some time to face Pakistan. And Pakistan played incredibly well in their first innings, and so they're going to be no pushover to bowl out for the second innings.
But Ben Stokes did say this before the series, that we want to repeat our heroics of the last time we were here. So I eventually thought that means putting us to the wall, and that's what they've done so far. But I think it's been, as a batter yourself, you must say it's been a belter of a wicket to bat on.
It's been unbelievable. I think, seeing two totals that are now in the first inning is going to go over 500 runs most likely. It's clearly a wicket that favours the batsman. And in those moments, I feel slightly sorry for the fast bowlers having to go endlessly bowling overs against batsmen who are clearly having a bit of an advantage.
Well, certainly. But Alex, it's been a pleasure hosting you on the show as well. There's been so much insight into your career as a cricket fan and a cricket lover as well, and a lot of the work that you're doing as well. Just on a closing note, is there any message you'd like to give out? Obviously, welcome your family and say hi to your family as well. But is there any message you'd like to give out to so many cricket fans who are watching Alex be one of them as well at the same time?
No, well, I suppose just look forward to this series. We've got 2 more matches to get involved with. Continue to show the love for Test cricket, and to the England fans who are travelling around Pakistan right now, I hope they're having a wonderful time. I'm sure they're having a wonderful time, and I can't wait myself to see some of the live cricket when it comes to Rawalpindi in a few weeks' time.
Well, exclusive message for the Barmy Army, because obviously they're going to be chanting your name probably tomorrow once they hear that you've got an exclusive message for the Barmy Army as well.
I think just to say thank you to the Barmy Army. They as a group of fans always bring so much noise and energy to a stadium, and they really represent the UK overseas in a fantastic way.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Alex. It's been a pleasure hosting you, and we're very honoured that you could join us on Sports Extra.
No, thank you for having me. It's been wonderful.
Thank you very much. That was Mr. Alex talking about his love for the game, the sport that we all love, and obviously England's dominance right now in Test cricket in Pakistan in particular as well. We go towards a short break. We come back. Stay tuned.